Well, he's been making some very dangerous moves just in that short period of time we've been watching here, Ileana.
Yeah, it's been a fast mover here, in and out of traffic. Yeah, it looks like I'd say an older model Jaguar. That's what my pilot
No.
was thinking. That's what it looks
No.
like to me as well.
It's a silver Dodge
Male
Charger,
driver,
actually.
and I believe he might have a passenger, is what we're hearing as well.
Oh.
But unknown if that person, the passenger, is a
We're on the 215
a
South?
who's a willful participant in this pursuit. So still working to confirm again what the other wants are on this one, but at least for now, vehicle code violation. We've got the San Bernardino Sheriff's helicopter overhead, and we've just been joined by another airship here from a neighboring county as well. I believe it's going to be the Riverside airship that is assisting with the pursuit now as well.
What is up? Hold on, getting some tweets out here. Bear with me.
To Central Avenue in Riverside.
Yeah, surprisingly, this Jaguar here is making tracks in the middle of rush hour at 64 miles.
I don't see a Jaguar. I see a Dodge Charger. Are you talking about a physical, actual Jaguar?
Do we have any?
There are some ground units, Michael, but I'm kind of afraid to zoom out because they're pretty far back. This guy has been in and out of traffic, so they're really not on his tail right now.
All right, my friends.
Quarter mile back. So when we first got
Boogity, boogity, boogity.
to find the units, I saw
Let's go chasing on the 215 southbound. We are way out here in San Bernardino. This is the third San Bernardino chase of the day so far. Chases breed chases, and here we are. Choppers in the area once again are on top of yet another pursuit out all the way out here. That's what happens when the choppers are in the vicinity. 215 southbound, coming out of the shit. You're halfway to Las Vegas. Southbound headed back towards the LA metro area.
Go ahead, Colleen.
Eliana Moreno on the call, News Chopper 4, 5:56 p.m. Pacific time, rush hour, prime time chase hours. Snipers are in play as long as we stay in San Bernardino County. I can't imagine we're going to see the snipers on a very crowded 215. Approaching the 60 interchange. 60 interchange will start taking us towards downtown Metro LA. Probably better for NBC signal. Possible kidnapping is the want. And there is someone else in the car with him.
When we were back at Whiteman, it takes us about 45 minutes to get out here, and it's still going on. But now on the freeway here, southbound 215.
This chase has been going on so long, it took her, that's how far we are. 45 minutes for News Chopper 4 and Eliana to get out there. You guys can see that CHP unit, what I believe is CHP, on the right side of your screen right now.
Because they don't want that other person to get hurt, and in most circumstances, that's at least how they were treated. But also gonna try to be as careful as possible when this pursuit does come to an end, because you don't know if that person is going to be held hostage by that driver.
Hostage?
What we're hearing is that they are possibly a kidnapping victim.
Kidnapping victim, doing 90 miles an hour here on the 215. We're in Riverside. Not sure if we're going north or south. As always, that graphic changes depending on which side the helicopter is facing. The sweet, sweet sounds of Eliana Moreno. Sir Camelot, WMSJR. Appreciate you guys, as always, for subscribing to the channel. Everyone else that I missed. You guys keep subbing, we keep streaming. It's that simple.
And for the first time, just on the lower part of your screen, there you see the black and white, the squad car coming into view there.
Yeah, so widening out of here because it is a little bit easier for me to follow on.
That's right. You want to get rid of the ads? All you got to do is connect your Amazon Prime account to the Twitch channel. Subscribe on a tier 1. Get rid of those ads. Otherwise, you're on your own.
Freeway here coming through Riverside, where we're coming up to March Air Force Base. So I see that out the left side of the helicopter here. This stretch of the freeway is wide open for now, but I am seeing that as you approach March Air Force Base, the traffic really does slow down significantly. So let's see what this person does. We know he's not afraid to use.
Damn. WMS sub-dubs in the chat. WMS Junior 624 giving out 5 tier 1 subs to the community, whether you are one of the lucky recipients or not. Some sub-dubs for a generous community gifter right there. Appreciate you.
I can imagine only the frustration with officers. We can't ascertain what is going on inside that vehicle. The tent on those windows all the way around Eliana seems to be extremely dark.
Yeah, really dark tint.
This might be an
kind of
Eliana
the front
exclusive
wheel. We haven't
chase.
really had a chance to look
That is
through
a
that front
classic
windshield,
looking
but
Dodge
what we were
Charger,
hearing
by
is
the
that there
way.
are
Look at the
peaceful
style of
occupants in
that
the car.
Dodge.
Look at him driving here
It's
now
very,
in the
looks like
emergency
a,
lane. This is exactly what I was
oh,
worried about.
uh-oh.
Because of that
Oh, I thought we were picking up smoke there. When you start driving in the shoulder and picking up dirt there in San Bernardino, we know what that what that causes with the tires. You start picking up debris, these rates of speed, all it takes is one nail, one rock, and the tires will go.
I never like it when they do that because I just think about somebody with a flat tire, somebody whose car has been disabled. That's where you would be, and then you have this guy coming at you at freeway speeds.
So everyone else is in traffic. Look at this. We're practically standstill while this dude's on the on-ramp on the shoulder doing 65.
And we want to let our viewers
I
know
wonder if the
we're watching
CHP is still
NBC4
attached to
News.
them.
At 6 p.m., we are following this chase. It's just going past March Air Force Base on the
That is
215.
not. Red Sox 6 in the chat says that's a 2003 Jaguar. Let's see what our Nightbot has to say. Our Nightbot uses proprietary artificial intelligence to scan the screen the same way when you tell it to create a picture. Like AI, it says make me a picture of this and they can do it in 2 seconds.
Yeah, at this
It
point,
looks
though,
like
to
the
me,
Nightbot says
they
that's a
were
Dodge
to,
Charger.
get
So
information
unfortunately
back
you are
on
not
this
correct. You do
person.
not know
As far as
cars.
we know, the car is not stolen. So if it's not stolen and it's got the proper plates, then they'll be
The
able
Nightbot
to,
and the
then they'll be
don't
able
doubt
to,
artificial
run
intelligence.
the
It's never
plates,
wrong.
get the registration information, and they can kind of figure out who may be driving.
We are swerving. That was almost into the ditch there, by the way. Where is March Arb, California? I have lived here for a decade. I don't know where that is. AI is the future. That's a beautiful Dodge Charger. Look at the chat. See those little white Dodge Chargers in the chat? It's exactly what you're seeing on the screen right here.
See the driver. He does look like an adult male, wearing a bright blue shirt that is now driving.
Now we're in the lane number 0 on the left shoulder. That's not an HOV lane.
You know, Eliana, we've seen some pretty violent chases here recently, most notably late last week. That, I can only imagine, sits at the forefront of officers' minds when, in fact, they're in pursuit of someone. Do they pull back? Do they continue the chase? What are some of the factors
Oh,
that,
March Air
that
Force
officers
Base.
have to sort of run through or
That-
check
oh,
lists
that
that
makes
officers
sense.
have to
Okay.
run through in cases like this?
One thing they're always considering is safety. So the safety of the general public, obviously the safety of the people inside the vehicle.
Is this the
safety
Air
of
Force Base in
officers.
Grand Theft
So
Auto?
if this gets to a point where it's no longer safe for them to continue to chase this guy, then what they can do is just pull the units off and have the airships follow only, and in hopes that perhaps the driver will think he's no longer in a pursuit and will simply pull over, pull into a parking structure, go home, just to get him off the road where he's obviously a danger to everyone on this roadway. Driving
Yeah,
in,
Air
this
Reserve
isn't the
Base,
proper way. I know it
ARB,
looks like it, but it's
March
not.
ARB.
It's the center
There's
divider.
multiple of those.
If you were broken down, this is
If
probably
maybe
where you'd be.
maybe we'll try and get
he's,
into the Air Force
driving
Base.
at,
That's
over
automatic
freeway
6
speeds,
stars
about
in
80 miles an
GTA
hour
if you
here,
break through the
southbound on
gates.
215 freeway, coming up to almost Lake Matthews. So we are a long ways from our home base at Whiteman Airport, and this
The other
pursuit has
chases
been
didn't
going
make it
on
to
now,
broadcast.
for-
One of them
for
lasted
what
like
we
30
did,
seconds. I was just about to go live, and the person got
Eliana,
caught.
as we continue to look at
So,
this,
do you guys see what's coming out of the back left?
beginning of this,
Do you
we
guys
picked
see
them
the
up on
back
the,
left?
215
Something
freeway
tells me
here.
that back
You
left
say
is
it started
down
on surface
or
streets.
going
Do we
down.
know what
Maybe it
area?
was just kicking up some
Yeah, it
debris
was
there.
San Bernardino.
But there was a
It
streak of smoke
very
coming out of
close
that
to the
back
interchange
left.
Of the 215 and the 210 freeways. He was on
It's
surface
not
streets
happening
in
now,
that
so
area
it still
for
might be
quite some
intact.
time. I'd say at least 30 to 40 minutes. Just kind of
King
circling,
V
going
Miles,
in the
appreciate you
neighborhood,
for subscribing to the
in
channel.
circles is
Everyone
really the
else
best way
throughout
to
the
describe it.
program
So that
today.
leads me to believe that it's
Can't get to
likely an
everybody's
area that
name,
he's
but
familiar with,
BT Russell
but then at some
35,
point,
18
he
months and
decided,
counting.
He was going to try the freeway route, so he did jump on the freeways, and that's essentially where we picked him up when we got overhead.
I like that.
Was,
RJ Nelson
looking
calls
at
these
on the
drivers
freeway. So he
shoulder
was south on
soldiers.
215 at the time.
Did you
There
just
was,
come up with that?
2 airships over
Shoulder
there,
soldiers. That's
San
perfect.
Bernardino as well as Riverside. And again, if this gets to be so dangerous to the point where
We see a lot of
you can't
shoulder
follow
soldiers.
units anymore,
And
then
it
it's
doesn't
gonna
look,
be
oh
up
my
to
God.
helicopters
There's a
to
truck
continue
parked
to
right there.
follow this guy until they see this come to an end. But for now, freeway speeds here coming
Shout
into
out RJ.
Paris.
We're going to use the
Eliana,
shoulder
when we
soldier.
first joined you here just before the
From
6
now on.
p.m. show, it was San Bernardino police.
Yep, they're still there. Oh my goodness, a little armada behind them.
Since this is primarily on freeway.
This is not tracking mode.
Something that they're
There's that
starting
car
to
trying
talk
to pull
about,
over to the side of the road
I'm gonna
here.
push it on the
CHP
lead unit here,
re-engages.
so you can see it's actually a police
CHP?
unit,
No,
San
K9.
Bernardino Police.
It's San Bernardino, and it's a K9 unit. Look at the. You guys saw K9? It's a Doge. There's a Doge in there. Big Doge.
As you were saying, because this is on the freeway, it would be best suited for the California Highway Patrol to take
Joey
over the
Stevenson
street.
drops
They are
5
the
tier
police
1
freeways
subs
here
into
in,
the chat. Some sub
California.
dubs for
They're
Joey
just gonna be able to
Stevenson.
handle
That's a
this
new one.
a little bit
Appreciate
better
you being so
than,
generous to our
police
community
units
members
that are
here.
outside of their jurisdiction, because
Ad free
eventually
view it
those
going out
radios
to
for
5
those,
more people.
police units are gonna
But
start getting scratchy. They're gonna
in the
stop
meantime, speaking of
working.
scratching,
They've been on this
there's
for
a
quite some
big
time. They've been
Doge in
struggling
that
out of
first
fuel.
unit.
But if you
If
have
there's
these,
ejectocito on the
fresh
highway,
CHP units
that
can
fur
pretty
missile
much
will
take
be
over at any
unleashed.
point and can continue to swap out with each other as we make our way down whatever freeway. They really will be the best suited to follow this police pursuit. For now,
There's a familiar name, DJ
with
Ryerson, in the chat, giving out. How many this time, DJ? 5 more tier 1 subs. That's 745 subs given out to the channel. That is insane. You are way too generous, DJ.
Behind seems to be a little more aggressive. They will not pit this car.
K9, look at that. K9, it says it on the top. San Bernardino Police Department, not CHP. Thought it might be CHP first, but
so that's one thing we haven't talked about. So they could deploy
spike
some
strips, but also
They would just
fur
have to
missile.
figure out what way is this guy going, what lane is he going to be in. Right now, he's actually kind of predictable because he is on the southbound 215. He's been on it for quite some time, so it might be a situation where CHP could get up.
It's not a
ahead and lay down
Jaguar.
some spike strips.
Yuck money,
They do
that's a
have their
Dodge
favorite
Charger, and
location,
it's an older model.
where
It's a
they like to
classic,
do this along the
mid-2000s
freeway. We
model.
won't mention that at this point because just in case the person's monitoring our broadcast, we wouldn't want to give that away. But it is a situation where perhaps they'll be able to lay some spike strips up ahead, get those those tires to start deflating. Usually it doesn't stop the car immediately, but eventually those tires do get flat. Sometimes they just fall off, and that could bring things to an end. In terms of pit, they probably won't try it just because of the possibility that there could be a victim inside.
Yeah, a coordinated effort, indeed. I certainly don't want you to
I
take
wonder if they
eyes
would
off
send the
car that's in
Doge
pursuit,
if
but,
he
can you
takes
give us
the
an
hostage
idea
with
of
him.
and we see
Look at
some more
those,
units
yeah,
there
the
off
units
to
on the side of the road that
what
are
traffic
cutting
looks
off,
like ahead for this driver and for those
cutting
officers
off the
in pursuit.
on-ramp, which means they could be
Yeah,
setting
so
up for
you saw
spike
those
strips
units,
ahead.
that were kind
My
of
guess is they
sneaking
could
off
be
to the side. So some of
down the
those
road
units
because he
can
hasn't
actually
made
swap out
much,
with police units that have already
hasn't
been
been
on
too
this
erratic
for,
with his driving,
over an
getting ready
hour.
for a
So,
spike strip
things like,
a couple
getting,
miles
low on
ahead.
fuel,
It's
for
going to
example,
require
or
a spike
situations
strip
where they would,
queen to walk
find a
onto
way
the
to
freeway to
swap
get him out
places.
there, or be hanging
And,
out in the
Another
median.
thing that we want to mention, as you were just asking, is the traffic. I'm looking up ahead as far as I can see, and at this point, I don't see anything in the way of traffic for quite some time. I really, I want to say all the way to Temecula. So it looks like where we get to the 15 merge
Temecula.
with the 215 there in Murrieta, then it becomes the 15. The 215 actually comes to an end. And then once we're past that point, I do see a little bit of slowdown headed north, but not headed south. So if this guy just stays south, then he's not going to really encounter any traffic until he gets all the way to the Mexican border. So hopefully we're not going that far.
Mexico?
But he does have a completely open freeway up ahead.
Mexico?
You mentioned that
In
this
play?
With a vehicle code violation, any idea how they discovered there might be someone else in the car who was being held, maybe against their will?
What's up, Zach?
That's an excellent question, Colleen, and at this point we're not exactly sure, but if that person, if the
Viva
victim, for example,
la
does have a cell phone,
Mexico.
and maybe they were able to shoot
Tengo
up the text or
un
something,
gato, los
or,
pantalones.
potentially make a phone call to 911. That could be how it is that they know that this person potentially has a victim inside. But at this point, that part is still unclear. It's also unclear what the relationship may be. Was this a random kidnapping where they picked a person up from the street, or is this somebody they know, a relative or a domestic partner or even a child? So that part is still unclear to me at this time. But I continue to hear the chase on CHP. I can only assume that they're going to take over at some point. Perhaps we'll be able to get a little bit more
CHP was
information once we
probably
can
on the
figure out
side of the
frequency.
road, but San
The chase,
Bernardino
though,
PD
is,
likes to
southbound on the 215 freeway. Now,
likes to usually be involved in their jurisdiction. Them and Hawthorne.
Very soon when we
Hawthorne
get to
PD
Murrieta,
too.
It becomes the 15, and then from there, smooth sailing as far as we can see. All the
You
way
guys know
down
Blue
to the
Streak?
border.
Wow, I didn't think you'd be
Yeah,
old
we
enough for
saw
that.
those those officers.
Couple people in the chat
staged their
picked up
off
on
the,
my
off
Blue
ramp,
Streak
but not too
reference.
long ago. Now we see,
Jake
again,
Sig and
still
Bro
3 to
Kid.
4 SUVs behind.
We can
And as
be
Colleen
friends.
mentioned, perhaps a little more aggressive than they were early on. What does this tell you about their tactics and their mood, and possibly what's next?
Michael, I don't know if you saw that when I widened out the shot really wide. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm seeing
I'm-
at least
I'm not Mexican, I'm a federale.
7 units of law enforcement now behind this vehicle. So that really tells you
Halliburton.
something. This is clearly someone that did more than just a vehicle code violation, which is literally a minor infraction. Most of the time they would just let somebody go for something like that. So as far as we can tell, this is somebody who they clearly want to take into custody. Again, possible kidnapping suspect is what we're hearing, and the victim may still be in the car. From
Cobra
just the
says we're
very
70
preliminary
miles from
information,
Downey.
that we're getting on this one.
All roads.
But again, they're going to continue to follow this guy. They can try some spike strips. They're not going to try anything too dramatic, especially if that victim is inside. So the car may actually run out of gas at some point too. So that's another option.
Yeah, I don't know if we have enough gas for
Has,
Mexico
and
people.
when it does, then you'll have what looks to be about at least half a dozen officers. They're going to be at the ready to take this person into custody, and if the victim is still inside, to get that person to safety.
Once again, he's still on the 215 headed
A Caps
south,
29
going
says,
through
I love
Paris
WAB,
at this
CBC
point.
baby. We love you
And
back.
Liliana, I've asked
CBC
this
baby.
before. Do we know any more about whether or not he's armed?
Chases breed
Still
chases.
unknown, Colleen, but that really changes things. If they know that he's armed, that's really going to change the way that they approach the suspect when all
I don't
things
wanna
are
say-
said and done.
If it was a
Maneuver,
disabled
we
kid,
didn't
would
really
it
think
be
they were gonna
4
try one
stars?
anyway
What does
because
that have to do with
the
anything?
convenience time. But usually when a suspect is armed, they won't do it either, because if they were to pit the car and then it ends up nose to nose with a patrol unit, that could endanger the life of that officer. So they wouldn't try it in that situation either.
First
So at this
Halliburton,
point,
then
it's unknown
Siakam.
to us if the person is armed, but it does lead you to question, well, how did they get that victim in the car? So it is a possibility. Again, at this point, all options are on the table.
You know, Eliana, we've seen cases like this before where they know who the person is. They've run the plate on this car. What could be happening behind the scenes? Could family members perhaps be contacted at this point to try to talk this driver into surrendering or to give up at this point?
Just driving along still here on the 215. We're in Menifee. San Bernardino PD are in pursuit. CHP is lurking, ready to take over. No Amber Alert, by the way.
To give up, and sometimes that works, and sometimes that's all the suspect really wants is just to hear the voice of a family member one more time before they do surrender. So we see that time and time again. So that is a possibility. Of course, and nowadays everybody has a cell phone, so it
I'm
is,
not
very
laughing at
easy,
that, Matt
to
Codd.
get in touch with this person, and if law enforcement knows who they're dealing with, then a 911 dispatcher can actually call.
He can't
the
just
suspect
drive
as well.
across the
They can
border,
get a
right?
crisis negotiator
That's
on
a
the
question
phone.
in the
They can get
chat. You want to
on the
find
phone.
out?
So they do have,
You like
some
Mexico?
options,
You
if
boys
that
like
person is
Mexico?
willing to talk to law enforcement over the phone.
Okay, so the
Of course,
reason for this being an
units,
empty freeway is we
are
have
also
seen
equipped with,
CHP cutting off access to it.
loudspeakers. They
I have a
can make
feeling they're cutting off
announcements
access to it
helicopters
because they
overhead,
will be
and
setting
also
up
make
spike strips
announcements,
ahead.
when the vehicle comes to a
Ileana?
stop.
Ileana?
Go ahead, Colleen.
I don't mean to interrupt, but what were those two cars on the shoulder? of the
Yeah,
road
see, she
there?
thinks those might
Were
be spike strips.
Officers in unmarked cars, or were those people just broken down?
I actually didn't get a good look at them, Colleen, but we did notice earlier that there were patrol units that were staging there on the sides of the freeway, ready to jump in the pursuit. But I think some people are just pulling over. I just saw that one truck, that silver truck, pull over. So that's exactly what you want to do, actually, in these types of situations. If you see a police pursuit coming your way, the best thing you can do is to, when it's safe to do so, move over to the right.
Well, we saw what happened when someone tried to get out of the way of the last chase.
Yet again, when it is safe. A lot
It's
of
never-
times,
it's easier said than
unfortunately, we
done
see these
sometimes.
situations Where people try to be heroes, they think they're going to help law enforcement, they think they're going to help box the guy in or help him slow down. That is not what you want to do, especially in a situation where you don't know if this person is potentially armed. Not only are you putting your life in danger, but the lives of the officers in danger.
Birdies in the air.
All right,
8
so
months
on
in
the line for
counting.
us in, News Chart before,
I'm gonna think you
again,
made that account
215
just for this
southbound
channel.
car.
That's
We've
quite
been
nice of
tracking
you.
for well over
We appreciate
15,
all our
20 minutes
community
at this
members.
point. We see a number of units behind, and Carlin, as you mentioned, and I'll mention it again, the tactics of these officers, at least the proximity, seems to be a lot closer than it was before. So again, makes you wonder, as Eliana mentioned.
Yeah, guys, I was watching the end of the
more than
last
just,
chase.
a code
when they were putting
violation
people
on
in the
vehicle. There's perhaps
ambulance.
something
I've
more
heard there's
serious going on
no
here.
no
With preliminary
deaths,
reports
so
that
that's
there might
certainly
be a
good.
kidnapping victim in,
But there were some
in the
old
car with
people
the
that got
suspect.
hit in the major wreck, so
All right,
it
as
was
we
probably
continue
best
to
we
watch
didn't
this,
show it.
as you point out, Michael, the 215 coming up on Menifee, then we go through Temecula. The traffic is really thinned out here, and I really
So
want
we're
to
like
ask
east-
Ileana when we get an
We're
opportunity
like
to about the
east,
spike strip.
southeast, headed southeast,
Obviously,
way
at this
southeast
speed,
of downtown.
with someone in the car, we wouldn't necessarily see a pit maneuver, but we have with us someone on the phone right now. Bill, are you with us?
I'm here, Colleen.
All right, can you give me your last name? You are a retired CHP officer?
Retired Sergeant Bill Preciado here, Colleen.
Oh, okay. Know the name? Thank you for joining us. So talk to us about what happens with spike strips.
Okay.
How do you do this on a freeway when you've got other traffic?
Well, I think Ilana referred to that earlier.
In-game
sometimes
interview
a lot of
here.
areas have their strategic locations where they want to deploy the spike strips. The freeway would be optimal because it's one direction, but it's got to be specific, and the safety for the officers, there has to be surrounding cover because that spike strip does deploy across 1.5 lanes, and they have to just time it accordingly. And coordinate with the units. As of right now, I believe San Bernardino PD is still the leading units here. I don't see CHP getting involved, although I've seen them on the shoulder, but that is the normal protocol. They will call for CHP assistance. Once CHP takes over, they can more easily coordinate when a spike strip, if they decide to use that, to be deployed.
Wouldn't a spike strip automatically be deployed whether they were the lead or not, just in assisting and aiding with the chase?
Steve Javi.
You would think so, but coordinate the communication, like I alluded to earlier. Sometimes the municipalities, their radio frequencies do not transmit as easily once they get outside of their jurisdiction, and thus makes it harder for the communication to take place between either the allied agencies.
Someone in the
or the
chat said
dispatch
spike
center.
strips are no
So
match
it's
for a
optimal
late
that
model
the
Charger.
agency
That's
would hand
right.
it over to
This thing's a
CHP
tank.
so
These
that they
Dodge
can coordinate
Chargers,
more efficiently with
indestructible.
the ground units that are going to deploy that spike strip.
Bill, as you look at this right now and you see the units behind, you know you've got air units, you see you've got wide open freeway. What's the best course of action?
Well, right now we got a couple of things working in law enforcement's favor. It's very, very light traffic. They're heading southbound. It hopefully continues in this manner until the individual.
There is birdies in the air. This is a
Right
kidnapping.
now they're staying in one lane.
Alleged kidnapping.
Between 75 to 80 miles an hour, and they're not going in and out of traffic, which is good for both the officers and the fleeing suspect, and reduces the safety factor for the motoring public around them. So right now, it's a wait and see what they're going to do. Of course, coordinating with ground units and the air units to see if he does get off the freeway to coordinate in the event that the person does take foot bail.
Preliminary reports here say that there possibly might be a kidnapping victim inside. How does that change?
I did,
an
guys.
officer's tactics
I had
and
spaghetti
how
with
this
meat
is
sauce
handled
today.
and
Look,
resolution.
I have my bowl right
It
here.
changes the whole dynamic because
I just realized it.
The apparent victim that may be within the vehicle. So you're not only as a law enforcement
Look,
agency, you're thinking about the motor.
I just had spaghetti with meat sauce. I didn't even fucking realize it.
And more than likely, I think you mentioned throughout the broadcast that it's
Crazy how that
possibly
works.
someone
Look,
that they know.
I got my
Maybe
parm
domestic
cheese,
violence issue, we
everything.
don't know quite yet at this point.
I didn't even realize that.
The
Thank you.
responding units are obviously,
That's why there's a chase.
keeping at the forethought
It's sometimes
of
it's that
making
simple.
decisions. And there's always gonna be a
I've been
sergeant
sitting here
making a
eating
call
it for the last
whether
30
to
minutes, and I
continue
just
or
finished
back
before we
off,
went live.
or coordinate the ground units with allied agencies or their own units to coordinate in the event of a standoff or an eventual.
I have it like 3 times a
Well,
week,
you're looking,
2 to
he's
3
in
times a
Marietta
week.
right now, as you pointed out, he's not really going.
I
much
put so
faster
much
than
Parmesan
most
cheese, I
people
need
got
2
there,
barrels.
anywhere from 65 to 75. You've got Temecula coming up, then San Diego County. What happens then?
Well, the benefit with the CHP is that we've got divisions. Actually, CHP's got divisions throughout the state. There's 8 divisions. So this would be the border division, which goes all the way to the Mexican border. So they are coordinated. At some point, if it gets to that point, and we've seen this in the past where it gets close to the Mexican border, they do coordinate with the Mexican officials if, in fact, it gets to that point. And they would assist in that way, but the units would not cross into or across the border if it gets to that point. They would coordinate just with the units.
I know I'm on my best behavior with Olga.
But right now, I would say at some point, they're going to have to turn it over to the CHP if this is still San Bernardino PD in the pursuit at some point, just for officer safety issues and radio communication issues.
You know, Bill, I was just going to ask you that on the topic of the CHP and the handoff. Are you surprised they haven't done the handoff already?
I am.
You know what? We leave it up to the initiating
What's my
agency,
go-to
and that,
sauce?
we know
Rayo's,
it's been going on for
obviously.
an hour and initiated in the San Bernardino area, so they've got the call on
Marinara.
the particular incident.
Garlic marinara.
Why it hasn't been done up to this point, because we are quite a bit away from the San Bernardino County line. So at some point, the sergeant or the agency is going to have to make the call. And in this case, the CHP would assist, and of course, obviously, they would turn over the body to the initiating agency just for uniformity and filing purposes for the court jurisdictions and so forth.
Bill, as we look at the tight shot from News Chopper 4 here, I can't help but notice we're passing through some residential areas.
Yeah, you're starting to run out of the 215. Temecula's coming up.
For police in that jurisdiction,
Meet me in
or any kind
Temecula.
of law enforcement to stop traffic from getting on the freeways there?
Oh, definitely, yes. All the allied agencies have been notified. CHP does notify all municipalities as the pursuits are going into it for this very same reason, so they can coordinate either holding the traffic getting onto the freeway southbound or just to be ready in the event that they do.
This has been a long time without Eliana.
On the surface streets.
Bill, talk about the benefits at this point. CHP, San Bernardino Police, they have what on their side, at least right now, with this driver?
Well, the first and foremost thing is that traffic is very light. The speeds are, you would say, actually normal freeway speeds, right? 70 to 80 miles an hour, what we're seeing out there. He's not erratic. The driver's not driving erratically using all lanes, or at some point they were using the emergency lane.
Yeah, why'd they load managing Eliana?
And that is of concern to the pursuing units. But in this case, it's pretty wide open. I think the wait and see tactic is probably going to be the most beneficial for the responding agency. And at this point, one of two things: either a spike strip up ahead, where it's pre-coordinated, or where the individual eventually does, and we see this case in other pursuits, where they run out of gas and start slowing down. So that may be one of the things that may happen in this case.
Let's talk about that running out of gas, because he's been driving for quite a while. We believe the make and model on this is an older model Jaguar.
No.
Could something like
You don't
this
know
go
ball.
without having issues with fuel?
It's Dodge Charger. Don't listen to her.
And that's one of the things that we all take into consideration as well. But as we know, these vehicles can go quite a distance. We don't know where this individual started, whether it was a full tank or half a tank or quarter tank left. But the officers do maintain visual contact with these vehicles. Sometimes
So
they'll
far,
just
I haven't
cut
seen
out
much
vehicles
disruption
because
with the-
vehicles
knock on
are
wood.
used to driving at such a high
Haven't
rate
seen
of
much
speed at
disruption with the
50,
NBC signal, which is notoriously weak. But these San Bernardino cops are still attached to this. We are in an area of California where there's not even like guardrails. There's grass between the two lanes of the highways. We are nowhere near the city. Yeah, actual farmland.
Without endangering any other civilian lives around that vehicle.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he just made the transition from the 215 now to the 15 freeway. Again, it was a two-lane road to get to that.
Wait,
to
15 freeway, so we're going north?
But, again, tactics remain the same. What you're seeing here with San Bernardino Police in terms of distance from the driver seems adequate at this point.
I
Based
think
on
we're
the
going
circumstances?
south. We can't trust that graphic.
That's within a safe distance. Each agency has their policies and procedures.
Yeah, we're
In this
definitely-
case,
I
those are
think
all,
we're going south.
San Bernardino PD officers.
I didn't know that the
There's,
215 can
I believe, 3 or 5
reconnect to
that
the
we just saw
15
on the
this far
camera.
south.
But that would be normal protocol for most agencies to continue pursuing at a safe distance. With
Yeah,
their
news
units
stations
of
always
protocol,
follow up.
Which I believe
Be
there
back.
may be either CHP or the
Just
local
got to go to the
sheriff's department may be
website. Just
assisting
type in
with their
NBC4 Los
operations.
Angeles and they'll have plenty of
Bill,
reporting
we
on it.
understand the driver is a male.
15 goes all the way
and he
to the
may have a
to the
passenger. I'm not
163
sure
here
how
in San
we've
Diego.
come by
Wow.
that information,
I didn't
but
know the
we're trying to
15 goes
confirm
that
there
far.
may
It's
be a
just so
passenger who's in
so
a car
far
being held
east of
against their
anything
will.
Los Angeles. It's like
How does
LA
that change the
adjacent.
nature of what you do in a chase like this?
Well, in a lot of instances, the tactics that they can use, such as a pit.
We're gonna get a spike strip.
is probably
I'm
not
betting
gonna be an
if we could put
option
odds in the
at this point
chat,
because of
this is
the
gonna end in a
innocent
spike
person
strip.
or quote-unquote innocent person that's in
I think
there
they're gonna set it up.
kidnapping
I think
a
CHP
victim.
will be setting up a spike strip within their own jurisdiction so they can make the arrest. That's my guess. I've seen enough chases, unless this person gets off, and we're now getting to the right side of the freeway. Oh no, marine layer, some clouds.
Is open to using a pit maneuver. I know the CHP does, and we've seen it in past pursuits. So that's
Look at all these cars pulling over to the side of the road. How do they
This is
know?
all second information coming from.
Look at all these cars. Do they just
And
see?
gets out to the responding units.
How is this happening? All traffic is pulling over to the side of the road.
So those officers are going to have to take that into consideration, even in the event that it comes to a standoff situation where they're stopped, eventually run out of gas, where they decide to stop. They're going to take the individuals out.
Yeah, we need Ranger in here to set up. Ranger's probably working, but he's the one who knows how to set up
Put those people in handcuffs.
the prompts in the chat.
Completely what exactly was going on.
All right, retired Sergeant Bill Preciato, thanks so much for your expertise on this. As we mentioned, he's in Temecula right now. We're going to keep an eye on this situation, bring you more as we get.
Oh, don't even think about it. Are you kidding me?
LA County is about to get more
No.
expenses starting tomorrow. Our sales tax is going up.
Some cities will see
Must be a
steeper
day ending in Y.
increases. Here's a look at your screen.
Hold on a second. We don't do. Just bear with me, people. We got to just find the helicopter stream, get Eliana back. Hold on. Have no fear. Wab is here.
We're not going to be able to follow this much longer anyway due to the weather.
Oh no, Ellie.
Yeah. Sarah, you can turn her on.
No, Ellie.
We can go home.
No.
And for those of you watching us online, we of course thank you for your viewership. I hate to have to leave it like this without us knowing the final termination here, but we're going to continue to keep tabs on this one and make calls to our friends down in San Diego. The pursuit is headed their way. We're just at the 15 freeway at Temecula Parkway. You see all of the units here in pursuit, still very active in pursuit behind this guy, but we've come to a situation where we are
Oh God, look what the weather's coming up.
clouds here, so we are going to be U-turning back to base. We of course are going to have an update
Headed towards the
for you
perfect
on this
storm.
pursuit, on our later newscast. We have a newscast coming up at 7 and one at 11, so we hope to be able to have an update for you then, and of course always on NBCLA.com and all of our streaming platforms.
Copy. All right, people. So here's the deal. Since Eliana's the only chopper overhead and she can't go any further, there is potential that if this goes far enough to San Diego, that San Diego choppers will be able to pick it up. The problem is, I don't know how long that bad weather goes on for. I don't know if it extends into San Diego. If there's bad weather in San Diego, then they're not going to put the choppers at risk. So, unfortunately, this chase may go unresolved. Now, in the top left corner of your screen, you see @SkyWab alerts. And if San Diego does somehow get a chopper into the air and put it on the media stations down there, I'll come back live. The only way you'll know is if you follow @SkyWab alerts on Twitter, because Twitch will not allow me to send out another notification within the next 4 hours. Hey, my minor was in meteorology. I will take a look at the radar and I will let you know. How about that? It's mist, not rain. Man, listen. Not going to say why, but for obvious reasons, choppers in LA are a very sensitive topic, and anytime there's bad weather, they take precautions, okay? As a result, you're probably not going to see choppers in the air. Okay, unfortunately, that's going to do it for this chase. But if there's any updates, you now know what to do. Bye-bye. It was a pleasure. Thank you to everyone who subscribed. We should have our new merchandise in the Birds in the Air store, hopefully at some point in the near future. But I would stay live for the 2,000 plus people currently in the room right now. But I just don't think San Diego's going to be able to pick this up. And he's not even that close to San Diego. We're still 30, 40 minutes at least from them being able to meet it halfway. And then this person also has to keep going south and not turn east or west. You understand my predicament, right? Okay. I can't entertain you anymore. I apologize. It's been a pleasure, my friends. I'll see you for the next stream. Bye-bye. See you on the timeline.